I know there are a lot of fairly negative reviews about Sightless, and this is a film that I watched out of curiosity rather than because I thought it was one that I would enjoy, but actually, I really loved it, and it's not perfect. There are things about it that I think could have been done a little bit better, and the film's only an hour and a half, so it wasn't really pushing the boundaries in terms of length, so it could have been a bit longer and explained a little bit more. I'm not going to give any spoilers for the most part. Towards the end of this, I will give some in-depth thoughts about the bit that I particularly didn't see coming. I'll put it that way. So I will give you warning when I discuss this. But for now, this was released in 2020, directed and written by Karl, and it's got a very small cast, starring primarily Madelaine Petsch as Ellen, with Alexander Koch as Clayton, and we also have December Ensminger as Lana. And the description from IMDb is as follows. After an attack renders her blind, Ellen Ashland withdraws from the world to recover, but soon she plunges into paranoia, unable to convince anyone that her assailant has returned to terrorize her by hiding in plain sight. So there are two kind of main threads here. The first is that we don't know who attacked her. She had acid or something similar thrown onto her face that caused her blindness. She's blind at the very start of the film. We don't know how it happened. So a little bit of the film is trying to work out who it was. But that doesn't really go into any great detail for the most part. The majority of the film is about her becoming more and more paranoid as she's staying in this small apartment, and she's being looked after by Clayton, who visits her to just do general household things and help her to adapt. But she does start to become paranoid. There's a car alarm that goes off every second day, and she feels like there's something suspicious about it. There's something going on with her neighbour. She's worried that her neighbour is being abused by her husband. She becomes very, very paranoid. But all of the things she's becoming paranoid about, she's doing so because of her other senses. And she becomes aware of things that other people in the film don't seem to be aware of, because her sight's gone, her hearing and her sense of touch are heightened. So she picks up on things that other people don't. And I think that was a really clever way of making her paranoia, because of those things, relate to not just the fact that she's in a shock situation, but also giving her a reason for thinking these things. And I thought that was very clever and very well executed. And I'll be honest, at no point did I know whether she was paranoid or whether there was a genuine threat. Madelaine Petsch did an absolutely fantastic job with this. Very powerful performance. It's also beautifully edited. There was one scene in particular that I liked, and it's nothing overly complicated or complex. It was just really quite eerily beautiful, where she's in her front room and she's getting used to her new stick, and it just cuts in and out of her at different parts of the room, and the fading was beautiful, and the use of the light coming in from the window was just, really lovely touch. Just little things like that, little angles, little bits of editing just made this a little bit more visually compelling and visually appealing. The narrative, I thought, the pacing was great. As I said, it could have even been a bit longer, but certainly within the time frame, it revealed things at a really great pace. And there will be spoilers from now. Spoilers. So, I didn't see that twist coming. I say spoilers, I'm still going to try and be a bit vague with what I'm saying, so hopefully you'll understand if you've seen it. As I said, I could never really make up my mind if she was paranoid or if there were genuine problems, and that twist with Clayton, I didn't see coming, and it did surprise me, and I was pleased with it, by which I mean, yeah, that's a good explanation for what's been going on. I can see why this would work. There are things that were left unexplained. First of all, what happened to him, I don't think on its own would have been enough to cause him to do this. So there are mental health complications with him that I think we didn't get to the bottom of, so we're kind of left to our own devices to come up with what we think are his problems or, issues that he should be getting dealt with. So that was something I would have liked to explore a bit more. But obviously within the realms of the film, that would have been a little bit hard because the film didn't really have the ability to do that within the setting. And the other thing that I wasn't that struck on was the efforts he went to convince her. I just don't feel like, would he have had the means to set up this apartment with all of these different things in it and convince her with the sound speakers and the padded room and things? I don't know how he was able to facilitate that. So I would have liked some explanation on that in more detail. But again, that doesn't detract from the narrative. The narrative is fantastic. There are just aspects that left me questioning a few things. But really, this was a fantastic film, very surprising. There are negative reviews, but I would say if you think it's something you might be interested in, give it a go. I'm assuming, since you've listened to the spoilers part of this, that you have seen it. But if for some reason you haven't and I've just ruined the entire film, then I'm sorry. But do watch it if you haven't seen it for some reason. Encourage others to watch it. Personally, Sightless is so much better than I expected.